Thank you, yeah.
Okay. I look forward to having more discussion with everybody in the future, and we'll wait to hear from you.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
Be safe going home.
I will try to have that.
All right. I think that's mine.
That's
Yeah.
yours? Okay, did I
We
get
have
it?
all our little things that you gave us,
Okay.
okay?
Good.
Our next presenter is John Penny from the Census 2020.
That's right. I'm actually, I work actually under a partnership between the city of Poughkeepsie and Dutchess County governments. I've been doing this for about 7 months. I'll give you a little brief history. Before that, I was a longtime opinion editor at the Poughkeepsie Journal, and decided to take a buyout at the end of last year and announced that in a column. And the mayor and the county executive got a hold of me and said, we'd like you to come to work for us. So I don't work for the census. I'm here in my role as a county employee. I work in the communications department, and I've been tasked specifically with doing outreach on the census, the 2020 census. I'm chair of what we call the Dutchess County Complete Count Committee. It's a 15-person committee of mostly people who have done a lot of community outreach over their careers. It's a very diverse committee. It's diverse in a number of ways, not just racially, but also by age. There's some people who have been doing community outreach in our areas for decades, and there's some younger people who are really made a name for themselves in particularly pockets of our county that have a lot of minority representation. And so this is an all-encompassing effort to get everyone counted. So I'm going to walk through a little bit of a PowerPoint here, and basically to kind of tell you why the census is important and how it's going to work. That's basically the two areas I'm going to cover right here. And basically what you need to know about this, why it's important, is we want everyone in the country to be counted, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. It doesn't matter if they're a citizen or not. That's been clear. And through cases, there was a question of whether the question of citizenship was going to be on the form. But even if that were on the form, that didn't mean that people who weren't citizens shouldn't be filling it out. They just some people in the government wanted to know that that information. It was decided that that's not going to be on the form. So basically, we're trying to count everyone. And you could say, well, why do we do this? Well, we do this every 10 years. It's in the Constitution. And many things will be decided based on these numbers. The first one I want to start out with is congressional representation. Once we have the numbers for after this census, the congressional boundaries and other political elected official lines will be redrawn. And I always try to localize this as much as I possibly can. And so I'll just say that before the 2010 census, we used to have 3 congressional representatives in this area. We now have 2. So I always kind of feel like I should be able to stop right there to try to just explain the importance of, making sure everyone gets counted, how important that is. So I'm gonna go to my next slide. And if that's not enough for you, what usually is a motivating factor for a lot of people is money, and there's a lot of money at stake. It's $675 billion is at stake. It will be divided based on populations throughout the country. That affects 132 programs, everything from highway to housing, to something also called the Supplemental Nutrition Assistant Program, which is better known as SNAP. For communities, the way I try to drive this home a lot is to talk about something that's near and dear to almost every community's heart, is the community development block grants. Those are monies that go to specific communities. Really what it comes down to is every community, just about every community, writes some types of grants, some types of grants, try to obtain some type of grants, and almost every grant application that anyone's going to fill out is going to have to include census information. So that's a big part of it too. I'm going to go to the next slide here. I just want to stop to say, and I don't mean to be dire about this, but it really comes down to that communities that are undercounted will get hurt. I mean, if you're a community of 10,000 people, but we're only 7,000 are getting counted in the census, the money you're going to get back is going to be money that's supposed to be to handle the needs of 7,000 people when it's actually 10,000 people is your number. So that's why it's important. So you may ask me, how is this gonna work, which is a very good question. The census will start, as the census actually starts at the beginning of this year, but for most of us, it's gonna start in March. You'll get an invitation, most likely through the mail. 95% of us will get an invitation in the mail to fill out the census. The big news is this time, for the first time, you're gonna be able to